He can't love. He only wants to kill. Dun, dun, dun! The Curse of the Necklace is a horror movie filled with so much generic gruel, filled to the goddamn brim, that even Oliver Twist would say, "No, sir, I don't want any more." Pouring out of every scene is so much generic material, it's honestly astonishing that anybody involved in this had ever even seen a movie before. Never mind a horror movie, any movie in the goddamn history of filmmaking. Yeah, it's really, really fucking bad. Not even mixing words, one of the worst goddamn horror movies of 2024, one of the worst horror movies of the decade. And you know what? The sad thing is, there was potential for at least a little bit of fun, but no, they couldn't allow any material to actually be bubbling up and like, oh wait, this could actually work, and no, we're just gonna stamp it down and stampy, 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 stamping. There! That's what you get for thinking that you should matter. Let's just make everything as generic as possible. So this was directed by Juan Pablo Arias Munoz in his feature debut. He's done some shorts, apparently, I guess. I didn't really pay much attention, but apparently he has done some other projects. I don't know what else he could do. I don't know what else he's able to do besides make a generic film like this. But you know what? I really shouldn't blame him, because maybe they said, you will get your chance to make your own films. You just gotta direct this generic slop. So this was also written by John Ducey, who did some television and some holiday movies and other stuff. I don't really know if this film actually was written by a person or even AI. I actually just think that maybe this stuff was leaked out of an animal's anus, a dying animal, as it were, because my, oh my, down on the generic Curse of the Necklace Bayou. What the fuck was this? I paid about $7 for this on Amazon, and yeah, I know that's a small pittance. I have no problem throwing money towards horror movies, even if I think they're going to be bad, because it is what it is. I'm not going to pirate shit. I should have been paid to watch this. Anybody involved, in watching this should be paid to watch this. The studio shouldn't pay people to watch this. So this does star the McGraw sisters, Violet, who was a young girl in the Haunting of Hill House, and also Madeline, who was the lead in The Black Phone. I'd say that Madeline did a great job there, and I think she has a bright future as far as being somebody rising up in horror, much like Joey King when she was in The Conjuring. And from there, we have these two sisters. We have Ellen, and we have Judith. Ellen played by Violet, and Judith played by Madeline. They're at war with each other, essentially, but they must come together when a necklace, a cursed necklace, in a film called The Curse of the Necklace. My, oh my, what tremendous depth of detail will you show us next, movie? So, yeah, they're two sisters. Their mother, Laura Davis, the incredibly attractive Sarah Lynn, who was in A Wounded Fawn, that I didn't necessarily care for, but I thought she did fine in, is separated from her husband, Frank Davis, because you got to keep them separated. Hey, played by Henry Thomas, and from there we find out, oh wait, this necklace has a curse behind it, and it's in the most generic way possible with a third act twist everybody saw coming from a mile away, or at least 10 miles away. Look, I try not to be mean right off the bat. I really try not to, but this is the 235th movie I've seen released this year. And while this is not the worst movie that I have seen, it's definitely going to be on the list, because this movie just pissed me off with the generic gruel, just permeating through this whole damn thing. You have the backstory of the sisters that don't get along, but eventually they do have to get along. You have the backstory about, what happened with the necklace and everything. I mean, we find out a little bit. I have a feeling that they actually implied that they were wanting to do a sequel or a prequel to this, based on some little nuggets of information they were given. But it's almost impressive how this movie could have such terrible writing, terrible direction, terrible camera work. It is so dark throughout at least 90% of this movie that you couldn't see what was going on. It wasn't quite as bad as a Tubi original that I saw, and I'm losing it right now. It had box in the title, but it was really, really bad. And this is set in 1960. I haven't even talked about the plot. Set in the 1960s, because I don't think it was actually 1960, given how a piece of information is revealed later. We have my girl playing. Well, let's just look the other way, and he can't see without his glasses. The little shit had it coming. I may retro review My Girl at some point. So, we go to 30 years later into the 1960s after a thing opens with a childbirth that ends in tragedy because there's this necklace on there. And then we find out why later. Was the budget of this movie $50? Because it mostly took place in like 2 locations. There were like a few outside shots, but this mostly took place in like 2 locations. 2 or 3. There was like a police station that seemed to consist of like 3 rooms and a house. And then the house from the beginning with the mother that had the bad birth and their son Jonah and all this terrible stuff going on. And yeah, pretty much from the beginning, we realized that this movie is going to be generic. But don't worry, it gets so much worse. So much worse than this. My God, I don't think a horror movie this, basic has pissed me off in a while. And I don't expect much when I watch movies like this. I really, really don't have high expectations. But when I saw a trailer for this, I was like, okay, this got a limited theatrical release. I mean, like a few days. I don't know how many theaters it was released in. And it just dropped on digital today. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll throw a few bucks. I mean, I paid for The Well and paid for other stuff and just recently reviewed Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. It's on Peacock. A streaming service basically should get this for free. Sorry, this is so paralyzingly dull and awful. Ellen doesn't understand why her dad can't be around. It turns out that really the reason is actually kind of ridiculous. And Ellen has to deal with the fact that, oh yeah, this necklace and this ghost is coming at her and this terrible stuff is going on. And then when they try for the third act twist, it actually made me laugh, which I'm like, really? That's what you thought a good third act twist was, huh? Terrible acting, even though the actors actually aren't that bad. It's just that the dialogue is terrible. And every aspect of this movie is so rotten. Just so fucking rotten. You have, again, it being so dark you cannot see what's going on. I was almost impressed. Why'd they bother taking off the goddamn lens cap? I mean, I understand that a movie may have a limited budget, but you could at least try to illuminate a little bit so everybody's not thinking that they're having a series of strokes. I think this movie needed to have a series of strokes. Like paintbrushing, like painting all over whatever the hell this was, and then it could be like the Dorian Gray thing. And if we look at it again, we'll age and we'll die, which would still be less painful than watching The Curse of the Necklace. Getting into spoilers, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, yeah, basically in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said, and the childbirth happens, and then the mother, even though it gives birth to the kid's stillborn. No, the kid's not stillborn. Jonah is alive. But then the mother's like, it burns, get it out. 30 years later, my girl plays. This is already terrible, is what I noted. Amateurish on every goddamn level. So terrible. I'm sure there are talented people that worked on this damn thing, but just, my God, from every goddamn, conceivable standpoint, perspective, this is rotten. The town of Ashton, it could have been Canada, it could have been, I don't know where Ashton is. I don't really give a shit. It's not John Ashton. I'm just going to say this movie killed John Ashton because it actually referred to Ashton. That's mean, but whatever. Rest in peace. This movie can rest in piss for all I care. Frank basically steals a necklace from a goddamn evidence locker as a way to get back into his wife's good graces. This will smooth things over. By the way, it's from 1938, so if it's 30 years later, it's 1968. For those of you that don't own a goddamn calendar or understand how to do math, i.e. anybody involved in funding this goddamn fucking fiasco. Ellen doesn't understand why her dad can't be around. This is dreadful, fully dull, just absolutely just abysmal. And this dialogue is atrocious. Was this written by, something secreted from a dying animal's leaky anus? I mean, really, honest, I'm sorry. But what the fuck? Anyway, so yeah, the lost duckling, about, the lost duckling being missing and Stitch lost and all that and whatever. That's whatever. The whole point is, read to the little boy. The little boy's named Jonah. Jonah, it turns out, that might be a little bit goddamn evil. The stupid jump scare noises actually made me think, I really want to find out who funded this damn thing and say, you never should be allowed to fund another movie again. How dare you? How very dare you? Shit all over the goddamn corpse. No, not even shit. Shart all over the goddamn corpse of horror. I mean, whatever the fuck. So the dad didn't want the mother to work. That's it. That's literally it. Did not want the mother to work. They need to be housewives. That's really a bad perspective to have. That's really all the backstory we get. Not that we need any more because this movie's bad. Fuck all of this. Just fuck all. God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Had anybody seen a movie before is what I noted. So, the boy is Jonah. There's this bookcase that almost falls on Ellen. Parakeets are losing it. You always want to listen to the parakeets. We used to have parakeets in our house. They're good animals, but they're noisy. The jump scare noises, again, are dog shit. What the fuck? So, and then Judith basically ends up, like, you know, basically Ellen first puts on the necklace, so that brings Jonah out. Judith puts on the necklace, and all this crazy stuff's going on. We end up in this red room over there. Ruth sees Laura. Ruth, the mother from the beginning, says, he can't love, he only wants to kill. Yeah, I can identify, given how I feel while watching this movie. And basically, the family is totally fucked because, or was totally fucked because Jonah was super violent, and it was a Chris Benoit situation. The dogs are in the enclosed pool area, and the side garage door is open, or the side barn door is open. The camera work is amateurish. Jesus Christ. Why bother even trying to light your goddamn movie if you're not even gonna, make the dark scenes? You can make the dark scenes still work without making them look absolutely horrible. Like, oh, let's peer through this. Let's peer through this goddamn, oh, it's still dark. Okay, whatever. Not that you'd want to see more of this movie. Since they're attempting to make it scary, you would at least want to see why they're trying to make it scary. So Ellen ends up, pushed off of a swing by Jonah and breaks her arm. And then suddenly Judith is possessed by Jonah. So, oh, no, this is stupid. Because she then is freaking out. She's killing the parakeets and stabs her boyfriend that we saw for a little bit. That I actually think, according to IMDb, was actually the boyfriend, or Madeline's actual boyfriend. So hopefully that relationship works out of her. Otherwise, that's going to be awkward to revisit around Thanksgiving dinner. So, suddenly Laura decides to call Detective Callahan. Hey, this case that you investigate involves a necklace. Then he freaks out because he's like, okay, I'll help you. Then he goes to someplace and gets a woman called Beatrice, who apparently suffered a stroke. More on that in a bit. And she was the sister of the seance seer woman from before named Martha. They're coming to get you, Martha. And the long exposition scene, basically, where Martha had tried everything for fertility stuff, but said, I can contain the evil in this necklace to give the ability for this couple to have a kid. Somehow? What? Sure. Okay. Why not? I mean, you haven't explained anything well so far, so why start now? The necklace had a dark history. You can't destroy it, just contain it. It's like Wemby, on the San Antonio Spurs. There's a deep cut that one viewer will appreciate if they are still watching at this point. This is really, really bad. I'm sorry. I don't care how pissed off anybody involved in this gets. If I watch a horror movie and it makes me this mad, even when I'm just trying to have a little bit of fun, I'm going to lay into it. I'm going to lay into it because I'm no filmmaker, but I know when a film is bad. And this film is really, really bad. Oh, Judith is suddenly not doing well when they try to do the seance. Beatrice, by the way, who had a stroke and is not doing all that well, decides to take on this responsibility to get the ghost out of Ellen, and they banish Jonah. And Judith is not doing all that well. And Judith is still acting weird because this candle for the seance didn't go out. Why is that? They banished Jonah. Jonah's the only child. They couldn't have had a twin. They had a twin. That was a twist. That was a fucking twist. That's really what they came up with. Eat shit, everybody that was involved in the story aspect of this. Eat shit. Eat the most copious amounts of shit for thinking that this was anything worth doing. So, yeah, basically, Callahan gets pushed down some stairs. Oh, no. I hardly knew that motherfucker. And we get a flashback, and it turns out there was another, there was a twin, William. He was, the evil one, and Jonah wasn't. It's like the Simpsons episode, where they had the evil, Bart twin. Hugo. That was the name. I was trying to come up with that. And, basically, he escapes. He escapes being chained up in a barn, kills Jonah, and then the mother, Ruth, kills, William. So, okay, that's what it was. That was the excuse that Chris Benoit was going to use. I'm just going to throw out these insulting jokes because I don't really care. So, here's the idea Beatrice comes up with. We need to go to the old farmhouse, and this will not end, is what I kept noting. This movie is about 95 minutes before the end credits start rolling, and it feels an hour longer than that. So, here's the idea. Let Jonah possess Ellen because we realize we fucked up, and let Jonah try to help William pass on. The dad ends up getting killed while trying to stop Judith William from stabbing somebody. So, yeah, the dad's dead. I mean, he wanted his wife to stay at home and be a housewife, so I mean, I guess okay. None of these characters are well fleshed out. Beatrice gets stabbed multiple times, yet somehow is okay enough to tell Ellen to run, but then Ellen doesn't run, and Ellen decides to stick around and help her sister. And ends up in the world where she says, Jonah, I need your help. You banished me. I know, but I need your help. Okay. He goes inside her. And then as Ellen Jonah basically tells Judith William, wherever you go, I go. I love you. I'll follow you down. I'll follow you down, but not that far. And the family's all hugging, and Beatrice just looks at it. Nobody's going to help the old stroke survivor survive this. By the way, stroke survivor, and she somehow managed to be okay there. Maybe she died. I don't really care. But then, a mid-credit scene. The necklace is there, and the dad is looking along like, help. And you think you're going to get a fucking sequel out of it. Eat shit. Eat fucking shit. F. I don't care if this is mean-spirited. I don't care if anybody involved in this gets upset. You can go on and do bigger, better things all you want, but for this one project, God fucking damn it. Agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.